to Acton in Focus. I'm Vivian Kosinja-Birchall, your host, and my guests today are Abe, Amanda, and Kara from the AB Special Education Parents Advisory Committee, and I might have said that wrong, but they're going to introduce themselves and tell us what they do with that advisory council. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we'll start with Abe. Your name and what your role is on the council, and possibly your background.
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Abe Gutierrez. I'm a co-chair on the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, CPAC, for Acton and Boxborough. I moved into the community about 3 years ago. I've got 2 children in the Acton and Boxborough system with special needs.
Okay.
Hi there, my name is Kara Lafferty. Like Abe, I'm a co-chair on the Acton Boxborough CPAC. I grew up in Acton and I live on the same road that I grew up on actually. We have 3 kiddos in the Acton Boxborough school district, one of whom was diagnosed with autism just before he turned 2, and that's how I came to be on this great group with my 2 buds here.
My name is Amanda Bailey. I'm one of the co-chairs with Abe and Kara of the CPAC. Been doing this role for 7 years now, so it's good to have fresh folks. I have 2 children with disabilities in the Acton public schools, or the Acton Boxborough schools, and I work for a disability-specific nonprofit supporting families of children with autism.
Excellent. So you have used the acronym CPAC a lot.
Yeah.
Could you, one of you, tell us what CPAC is and what inspired its creation?
So CPAC stands for the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, and under Massachusetts law, each school district is required to have a parent advisory council on special education. Within the CPAC itself, duties include, so it has both a participatory and an advisory role. We work with the school committee on the advising of safety and as well as other concerns and matters for children with disabilities. We also work with the school administrators in the developing the developing and the evaluating of special education programs in the district. So it's very very collaborative relationship that we have with the district and the administrators. So we're really thankful for the collaboration that we have with them. It also provides a bridge for families that have, there's a lot of information and a lot that comes with having a child with special needs. So we try to serve as an intermediary there.
All right, and just for the sake of our viewers understanding, when you say special needs, what does that mean?
So when we say special education needs, we're really referring to disabilities. And the laws protecting our students are the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we're really talking about disability when we say special needs. And that includes, for the purposes of the school district, children 3 to 22, or graduation, whichever comes first. So we really serve the whole span from when they age out of early intervention, like you talked with Minuteman ARC. And those are children with everything from ADHD, dyslexia, autism, cerebral palsy. The full span of disability is represented within special education. So when students require individualized instruction to access, that's where they would have an individualized education program to support them. We also support families of children with 504 plans, which has to do with disability accommodations, so ways of helping them access their learning.
And so what are some of the special needs education programs within the AB school system?
So within the AB school system, there are learning centers from kindergarten through 6th grade, as Amanda had mentioned, all the way through until they graduate. Some of the schools have more specialized programs depending on what the child's needs are or what the disability may be. More of the details can be found on the school's district website, as there are a number of them because, as Amanda mentioned, it's an entire spectrum of disabilities. So it could be anything from autism to a child maybe having challenges with dyslexia as well as physical handicaps as well.
And what is your role as this advisory council in all of this?
So we really do work with families first and foremost. We work with parents and caregivers, and we try to support them in navigating the system because there are a lot of acronyms and specialized terms. It's a system, right? And it can be really scary, and it can be really hard to navigate. So we really do support families and provide them with information and the support they need to advocate. But our primary role is to work with the school district on how to improve those programs, how to make sure that the kids are getting what they need to get that free, appropriate education, and to sort of help make sure that they're going to have what they need after school. So for many of our kids, when they become young adults, it's employment. It's really employment that trips them up. So it's making sure that they have the appropriate transition planning through the public schools to get them ready for life after school, as well as welcoming people in as they come in with new diagnoses, and Kara can speak to that.
Yeah, that's a huge part of what we do as a group, and that's something that has been difficult to provide during COVID, right? So before, we would be participating in each of the elementary schools' back to school nights, and we would be meeting with parents face to face. That's how I learned about the CPAC. I saw Amanda standing at a table, and she pulled me in. And it was great. You get to participate in meetings on a monthly basis. You get to hear about the struggles of other parents and the successes of other parents. So you meet with administrators, you hear all of these wonderful things that they're doing for our kiddos at school that you wouldn't necessarily hear about otherwise because your kid is not participating in that program. And it just keeps you really engaged with everything that's happening at school. And it's during COVID, it's been difficult because it's over Zoom, right? So it's still, we want everyone to know that we're here and that we're still meeting over Zoom.
Well, you just spoke of COVID, which takes me to the next question. How has this pandemic affected the programs in general for special needs education across in the AB school system, and what have you observed as people on this council? And in addition to that, what have been some of the ways you've navigated that?
Yeah. So when the schools initially closed, it was emergency mode because all of those services that children would have received in person were now remote. They were at home. And parents were thrust into the role of paraprofessional, occupational therapist. We were the primary supports for our kids. And as the schools have reopened, that's eased somewhat, but Kara can speak more to just how hard it's been.
Yeah, so the challenge of COVID, everyone knows the ordinary challenge that we experience every day. We still do, right? The pandemic is still ongoing. Yeah. Kids are still regressing. We haven't kind of caught up with that learning curve. Teachers have been just, oh my goodness, what has been thrusted upon teachers. They've been teaching from home without the ordinary supports that they would have over Zoom. It's been a really difficult time, and teachers have stepped up to the plate in such a big way. And if any of them are listening, we just want them to know how incredibly grateful we are for what they've done for our kids during the pandemic, and still what they're doing for our kids each and every day. Going into a classroom during a global pandemic can't be an easy position that we're putting them in. And we're not experts, and we don't know how to do what they can do for our kids, and we're extremely grateful.
Yeah, and I think too that as kids are coming back into the school system, they haven't been in a structured environment for so long. And so for some children coming back to a full classroom, it's so noisy. They're having to leave the classroom more, or instruction was missed for students maybe with reading disabilities. And so it's a matter of establishing where they are now, evaluating and seeing what we need to do to catch them up, and maybe new needs that have arisen. So social emotional needs are really big right now. Mental health is a huge, huge issue right now.
So how can people who are interested in being a part of your group, how can they join, and how can they find you?
We have an email address. If you're looking to contact us individually, please reach out that way first. Also, we have monthly meetings that you can find on our website. They take place over Zoom. We hope at some point to transition back to more in-person events and meetings. We would love for that to happen, but safety first. There's also other ways to participate, like filling out questionnaires and surveys that we'll regularly send out, so we can take that information and report back to the folks that are making decisions, the school committee, school administrators. And did you have any other ways, Abe, for folks to participate?
I believe we do have a little bit of a social media presence on Facebook, so it can be reached out through there as well.
So what is the email address that you spoke of?
Yeah, Amanda.
That's ABRSD SEPAC, so ABRSD CPAC @gmail.com. And we really do encourage folks to reach out, because we are parents first and foremost. We don't work for the district. We're other parents and family members who understand and have been there and know just how hard it is. So we're here as a support for folks wherever they are in the journey.
And is there a structure for people to join the council?
Yes, you can just attend our meetings, and we do have it's really open to any parent of a child with disabilities, as well as other interested parties. So it could be someone as a legal guardian, or perhaps an uncle or an aunt that may have a niece or nephew that has a disability and just maybe wants to learn more. So it is pretty open to just come and join in.
And are there any challenges that you face as a council in doing your work, and are there ways that the community can support you?
So one of the biggest issues that we deal with is stigma. Stigma around talking about disability, stigma around cultural aspects of disability, and where people are with their comfort level. So that's one of the biggest things that we deal with, especially in this community. Standing up and saying, I have a child who's different, can be very hard. And so I think that that's the number one thing. And then it's also working on inclusion, making sure that there are opportunities in the community for our children to be able to participate alongside non-disabled peers and be included, I think, is the second one, where we really have to do a lot of outreach and understanding among other families about how to make accessible, inclusive environments for our kids. You wanna add to that?
And on that, as we were preparing our goal setting for the year, Amanda had mentioned a Helen Keller quote, and I don't know if she knows it off the top of her head, or I'm putting her on the spot really badly right now.
But something to do about, alone we can only do so much, but together we can accomplish so many things, essentially. And when we can come together with the information and share it among one another as families, it helps empower people. But it also brings that information back to the school district and helps move things along and make change that'll help all students.
Exactly. If there's an issue that you don't feel comfortable bringing to your child's school, your educator, if you feel alone in that fight, you are not alone. I am sure there are 10 other folks that are having this exact same challenge at home. We would be happy to bring those concerns on your behalf as a collective group, so no one feels isolated in their struggle, because it's hard, for sure.
Well, and is there anything before, we say bye-bye to our viewers, is there anything that you haven't mentioned that you would like to tell our viewers about the council?
There is actually, the Acton and Boxborough CPAC isn't just a lone piece. We are also part of the CASE Collaborative, which is the Concord Area Special Education, where we do work with and share resources and programs with other surrounding districts, such as Maynard, Concord, Littleton, Sudbury. So it's a larger network, so it's not just also kind of isolated to Acton and Boxborough. We do also reach out as well.
And are there other references that you give to people, to families who are looking for services?
Absolutely. So there are disability-specific organizations like Decoding Dyslexia Massachusetts, the Autism Support Center at the Northeast Arc. But then there are also statewide organizations that serve all families. So there's the Federation for Children with Special Needs, which is fcsn.org, and there's Mass Advocates for Children. And both of those offer special education advocacy support and workshops in multiple languages. So the Federation has support in Haitian Creole, Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, And they have a culture broker model. So they have family members from those communities to help support people and help them navigate the system. And I don't know if just advice for families.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
Just as advice for families with children with disabilities, it's important to document everything that you've experienced on the journey for your child, along with the diagnosis, just any behaviors, challenges, or any patterns or trends that you notice with your child that are worth of note, as well as interactions with things that you have also learned yourself. Nobody knows your child better than you, so parent is always the best resource.
Well, excellent. Thank you for the work that you're doing for children and families with children who have special needs. It's, again, one of the blind spots in our education system. And so getting a group of people like you or hearing you fight for and advocate for this demographic is really special. I really do appreciate the work that you do. And I hope that the community can support this organization, this council, and other organizations that are helping parents with special needs students. So with that, thank you for coming to our show, Acton in Focus.
Thank you so
Thank you for having
much.
us.
And thank you also to the school committee and the superintendent and our special education director for working so well with us and being so open.
Well, thank you again. And to our viewers, thank you for watching Acton in Focus. Till next time.